I'm going live right now here. Okay, good. We're live. Hey, Frank. Good. How are you doing?
Okay.
You there?
Yeah, but the sound's not so very good.
Okay, let's see if we can tweak that. Hold on. There we go. Let's see if that's any better. I had a fan running. Maybe that was throwing off my mic, but I doubt. Is that any better?
Yeah, I think it's good.
A
You
little bit
hear me
better?
good?
Okay, yeah, I can hear you great. So hopefully
Okay.
this works. Well, good to talk to you over this video. I haven't actually done a video chat with you, even though we've done a ton of email and a ton of chatting online.
Yeah, I think it's hard for you to develop for ChiliPeppr and so on, right? You get a lot of emails. You are registered in a lot of mail groups and so on. I saw this. Yes. Last time I checked out the Google chat group or Google mail group or so, it was also interesting. You have too much ChiliPeppr communities, right?
There is a ever-growing ChiliPeppr community, although I will say I love it, and I am thrilled by the growth of it. I love how much people are getting involved, like yourself. So I'm more than happy to keep replying to people and helping people and just working through stuff. I'm in love with all the stuff going on. So let's keep
And
going.
how you can this managed because of family, your job as CEO in Seattle, ChiliPeppr development, and so on. It's a lot, right?
Busy. It does, because you know this. I keep thinking here on this video. There's this red scab here with managing my family. My 6-year-old son got a quadcopter for Christmas, and of course he proceeded to have the propeller go into my forehead.
Yeah, it's hard.
Oh, wow.
Christmas time, it's dangerous, right?
It is. It is. Very much so.
Yeah, cool.
Well, yeah.
Okay,
So it's hard to
maybe.
juggle it all, but oh well. You know, life is short, so you gotta try and pack in as much as you can.
Yeah, sure. I got my mother from Berlin here at my home, and she has a character. After 3 hours, you love her. After 30 hours, you hate her, and after 300 hours, you kill her.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but after 4 days, she goes.
I can relate to that one. I get what you're saying there.
Yeah,
All
okay,
right. Well, so let's dive into ChiliPeppr here. There's all sorts of fun stuff going on.
Yes, maybe you start with your template. Maybe I have some improves for this.
Absolutely. So
ChiliPeppr, the topic is ChiliPeppr Cloud 9.
yes. Okay.
Right?
Absolutely. So let's start with this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to screen share and show my entire screen. And if you're seeing that okay, I'm going to take people in to show them Cloud9. And Cloud9 is a recent thing that I've been working on. You've been kind of working on it, so is Ray. And JS Fiddle was what I've been using historically, and this is sort of the new way, I think, to do stuff. So I'm going to take us into the cam widget, which is sort of this for webcams.
The new cam widget, right? Cool.
Yeah. Now you have to right click on this runme.js, which is a little bit annoying, but not too much of a step. And you'll notice there's actually there's actually a virtual machine that comes along with the workspace, which I think is pretty amazing. My understanding is that they use Docker. And
yeah, the problem I recognize today, they switch off your virtual machine because you are not you not pay for this,
right?
And if you go 1 or 2 days later and come to your edit workspace, then they say, okay, we start your virtual machine now. Because you don't pay.
Although even on the paid instances, they only leave it running for 7 days. So you don't get it running permanently. And that's why I think, so that's not as nice as JS Fiddle when it comes to that. The JS Fiddle content was always online 24/7. But with a backing GitHub URL, which is the goal for all of this, I don't know if it's that big of a problem, because then we can just always count on GitHub being active and awake. So I think just to kind of explain to people what's going on here, if you're familiar with the JS Fiddle approach to ChiliPeppr, you still have your JavaScript and your HTML and your CSS. And if you want to set it up like the way JS Fiddle had it, they had the widget up here. So we'd have to split this into 2 rows. We had the widget up here. I'm sorry, the CSS up here. They had the preview down here. Oh, of course it's not going to work though. Here, you can split this into.
Now we have so much splits.
Rows. There you go. And then this was split into rows as well, which I thought I already did. These are reversed. Not a huge deal. I actually don't mind this layout because the size of the preview window is roughly the size that the widget will show in the main ChiliPeppr workspace anyway. But, to each their own. I think what's cool is it's all configurable. The kicker is this runme.js is a Node web server with a whole bunch of custom code added to generate your README file automatically for you. And it uses all the markdown, so it looks nice. It also generates this file uniquely called auto-generated-widget.html. And all that's doing is slurping up your JavaScript, your CSS, and your HTML into one file, and then pushing it all to GitHub.
Also, you can go to widget.js and you can list the outline. It's on the right.
Oh, can you really?
On the right, and then you see now it's HTML. You have to go to the focus.
Wow!
And
I didn't realize that. You just taught me something.
All you defined functions, and this is also very nice because I'm use a normal editor, and I need this function, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, what I would say is if I'm in a method like this, and I want to say this dot on button click, the fact that we now have this these pull down menus is just spectacular. It's like a modern browser or a modern IDE finally. So,
yes.
And then I don't know if you noticed, but this updates dynamically as you run it. So if I go and adjust this to be 20, well, maybe I got to get it to run correctly, but it adjusts this on the fly based on my edits up here.
You also display your errors, yes, and your mistakes
on
the fly on the side from the row number row.
Yep.
Very nice.
It is really, I'm actually really impressed with their IDE because even when I use some other IDEs for JavaScript, like let's say Eclipse, I don't get as good of IntelliSense functionality as I'm getting here. Yeah. So Cloud9 is doing a nice job. I got to hand it to them.
Cloud9 is very nice, yes, but we have the only one issue that they switch your Node.js server off, they switch your virtual machine off, and that's the point why you push the widgets and so on to GitHub.
Correct.
Yes? And then we load this external with GitHub, but you have to use this ChiliPeppr get URL because in your example, this will not work because you have a foreign external source, and that's the problem. Yeah, and the best thing is you use this ChiliPeppr GitHub. ChiliPeppr get URL. That's true.
Yes, make ample use of the ChiliPeppr get URL. It's your friend for sure. I don't know if a lot of people.
What can I do is your solution to say, okay, that's a trustful source. It doesn't work for me. Yes, I try to add a header to this Node.js to say, hey, this is trustful source, but it doesn't work. You don't. You see, get
Yeah,
URL,
so
force refresh, right?
get URL. What people may not realize who are doing development is that there is, because ChiliPeppr is a mashup of all the content out there, and the fact that we're developing on Cloud9 and then hosting the content maybe in Cloud9 or GitHub, ChiliPeppr has to slurp it all in. That creates a lot of Ajax CORS header problems. And so I don't know why it keeps redirecting me to the triple W, but
Yeah, I think you have a cache in this function get URL, right?
yeah. So let's just pull up something else like CNN. SSL certificate error. Well, that's interesting.
HT.
Because you're supposed to be able to pull up even SSL content and slingshot it through the get URL method. All the get URL method really is a proxy. However, the proxy appends a CORS header that allows anything out there to use it, or in particular allows any ChiliPeppr call to use it. So it's just a way of sort of bypassing the CORS header problems. What it does do, though, is it changes the domain, obviously the root domain of the page, and so this page wouldn't know how to load other artifacts.
Now maybe we found a solution for this, but now you have to use this, sadly.
Yeah. And the fact that I'm recommending you host your content now at this raw GitHub user content path, I'm not sure that's going to work, but for now, maybe it works. It's basically when you go in to look at the code and you hit raw, it's that URL. Now, they don't send the correct content type, but ChiliPeppr doesn't care if the content type's incorrect. So it should work. We'll see. But this is definitely one of the problems by moving away from JS Fiddle over to GitHub that's been created. And there's been a lot of chatter about people upset at me for using JS Fiddle over GitHub. And I just don't think they contemplated all of the difficulties that I knew we'd run into, which is why I didn't do it in the first place. And here we are trying to finally decide to deal with it. And it is creating a lot of problems. We'll get to it, though.
No, I know it works. I test this with my dispenser widget.
Yeah.
And with my calibrate widget, right? And
okay. What's the URL?
It's ChiliPeppr, chilipepper.com/xpix. Or you want github.com/xpix.
Okay. And was it generating the content for you? Okay.
You can see ChiliPeppr calibrate widget.
You're still using the template stuff, yeah.
Yeah, and you see also an error on ChiliPeppr load URL. I sent you an email about this topic. Maybe the parsing was not correct or so. But it looks very good. It works.
Yeah, and let's go visit your Cloud9 interface. I mean, this is what is kind of cool about it, that I can go see your development environment. Right, so the fact that you've got like a zip file in there. So if I go and I look at, I mean, I guess I could basically preview this, right? Oh, because it's not running. And if I don't know if it lets me run it. No, it doesn't.
You can't, because you need access for this.
But I thought a preview ran outside. Oh yeah, there we go. The preview works.
No, the preview is cool, huh?
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll keep figuring it out. So what else do we have beyond Cloud9?
So you add a new widget with camera, right? Camera widget.
I did. You want me to walk through that a little bit?
And I try to implement this in my workspace, and I get an error. But that's a stupid error, they say only, okay, require run in the timeout, and that's all. That's all what I get. And what do you make in this situation?
Okay. Well, so let's maybe go through it. So the idea, really, I've had this in the list of features for a long time, is the idea of adding a camera with a red crosshair, and you can line things up, and you could set the offset of the camera from the spindle head, so that when you line stuff up, it automatically then moves the spindle there. I've just never published it, but I also wasn't happy with the camera code I was using. I wanted to use WebRTC. That is the future, and really the Raspberry Pi I think is a great way to do it. And so that was the approach that I've been working on. Does that sound sort of, like the approach you would take?
Yes, I want to use this for my pick and place holder. Yes, and I need this crosshair because it's for pick and place and vision. Maybe later. For the first version, I don't need really a camera, but mostly I want to make it simple as possible. Yes, and I can show you. With my second camera, but I don't know how can I switch to the second camera, because with the normal Hangout I know it, but okay, here. So that's you see this, John?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay. That's the first version from my prototype. You see, it's made in MDF. It's millet, yes, and I hope you see everything. It's you see the screen is not big enough. Okay, and here you see the tapes. Yes, for every resistor, we have 4 of them or 6 of them, and they are a little bit bigger. And then you have these little pockets here. You can put bigger components inside. Yes, in example, this flash here. Yes, you see this? Oh, it's very small.
Yeah, I see it.
Then you have a threaded bolt here with some magnets. That's a magnet. Yes, you put it, and then the tapes are in position. Also, you have this this pocket for your PCB. The good thing is the pocket is on a 1/100th millimeter accurate to your x-axis, yes, in a machine, because you mill this themselves.
Okay.
And then you use the same position. I use this 4 holes here. Then you can put a broken end mill, yes, with a diameter of 3.175 millimeters. You drill this a little bit deeper in your wasteboard, and then you can position this pick and place holder every time, yes, and it's mostly very accurate, yes.
Okay, I like it. That's great, and I have plenty of broken end mills that I could use.
Yeah, I know. We have a lot of broken end mills. Yes, it's the same by me. Yes, when I'm thinking about a 9.8 millimeter driller, don't speak about it. It's a lot. Here you have the calibrate block. It's a normal aluminum block, or you can use a gauge block if you like. Maybe you can see this. I can other side. So it's the machine touch on the left, right side, top and bottom, and now the position of the pick and place holder. Yes, it is not for calibrating, but he calculates the middle of this block and now this position. The 0 point from this pick and place holder, it's this point.
Okay. Yeah.
It's this point. And then the good thing is I don't want that the user have a lot of trouble to calibrate this machine. Yes, he put his pick and place holder, then he save this 0 point in his EEPROM and this with this I make this 0 save button. Then you can switch off your machine, switch on your machine, then you make homing, and that's all. Yes. Then the machine now
you get one position, and then every other position is already figured out.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing, yes. And you put this pick and you can remove this, put this again with this broken end mills, and then it's mostly accurate for 1/100th of millimeter. I tested this yesterday because I mill it this one and mill it again after switch off the computer, switch off my Gerber controller, switch on, and make homing. And you will never believe this, but the the end mill don't remove material because it was so accurate, then it's awesome.
That is
Unbelievable.
really
Very
great.
accurate.
Especially because you have a timing belt based machine, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of trouble because my in example, this tape here, it's 8 millimeter or 7.95 millimeters, and I made this with a width from 8.1 millimeter, and the result was 8 millimeter. I don't know why. Yes, and then I think, okay, it's better I make this calibrate widget, and he recognized I lost one step on a millimeter or so, but I have to less one step. Yes, and I changed the configuration. Now it's perfect. Okay, I
Okay.
think that's the point. The MXL belts uh, have are a little bit flexible. Yes, because of temperature, humidity, and
Well, and there's a tiny. I mean, there's not a lot of stretch, but there's a tiny bit. If you're talking 100 microns, then there's some of that. But I agree,
yeah,
it's probably more humidity and temperature that's adjusting it, which is probably
yeah,
more
it
glass
works.
pulleys that are being
But
used.
it's a promise. My next machine is a CNC 6040.
I agree. And it's
That's
funny because I have a
that.
3040, and I really would rather have the 6040 because it's bigger.
Yeah, I'm a little bit envy about this. Okay, but next time I get this.
I gotta
And
tell you, I think we should keep encouraging people to go to that platform because I think there's years that have been spent figuring out a beautiful balance, and I cannot believe the accuracy I get off of this machine, and it's about the same price as a Shapeoko. So I don't know why they're not more popular. And I also, by the way, find that I don't have to clean off the rails on this machine like I was constantly doing with the machines that use the skateboard bearings and the wheels, because everything's sort of
mm,
protected under
yeah,
underneath or with covers.
the funny thing was also I searched at eBay some CNC 6040 machines and so on, and they are more expensive in China as here in Germany. Yes,
Oh,
I have to pay 650. I don't know why for the Chinese machine, and you have to go to the border control and pay your tax and so on. Yes, and here in Germany you can get this from this strange Chinese German store. Yes, and you pay only 400 euros. Yes, not 600. It's interesting,
that's
and
a great
also with
price.
this crap electronic thing with this with this strange Chinese electronic with the parallel port and so on. But you have to make a very good video. You can change this to tiny G or Gerbil, right?
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly. Get your Raspberry Pi 2 running inside of it, which is what I'm doing now. Because in the video I did a BeagleBone Black, and I'm happier with the Raspberry Pi, and I've got the camera now pumped into it. It's a great format. And now that the Raspberry Pi is only $5, you can't go wrong.
yeah, now you can get a Raspberry Zero for $4 or so. Unbelievable, yeah?
It's
But
amazing.
we have to wait maybe a half year, and then you get this in 10 of pieces or so. 10 of pieces, you get it for $3. Unbelievable. Huh?
Exactly.
Okay, I want to make a pick and place widget. Yeah, it's additional tab an Eagle import, but have the idea to make it simple as possible. The machine will auto-generate the list and put it auto-generate to the trace. Yes, and the user has only, I think the user do nothing. He has only to say, okay, I have this pick and place holder. That's my 0 point. Let's go. Yeah, and the machine counts the components and say, okay, I need a long way for not so much components on this board, and the most components are close to this board. You understand me? My English is not so good.
No, I think that makes sense. It makes me think after looking at that board you just showed us that all those little slots would hold all the pieces, and you would just say go, and it would figure everything out.
Yeah, you can auto-generate this list, yes, or this internal list, or this G code, and you can also edit the positions of this components. Yes,
Yeah.
but the rule is more components closer to the board, less components not so close to the board, because you have not so much ways. Yes, between the PCB board on this pocket and the tape with these components. Yes, the ways are not so far. You
Okay.
understand me?
Yeah. Well, you're saying you don't want a huge distance because then everything's really slow.
Yeah. And yeah, maybe you have a board with 25 LEDs, yes? And
Okay.
you want then we put this on the tray alpha, because the tray alpha is very close to this board, to this pocket where the board is lying, yes? And
Okay.
the distance are not so high, yeah? Um, I think it's a good idea because a lot of people don't want to change a lot of configuration or so. They want start. And maybe we can speak about the next future big thing, John.
Yes. Let's do it.
Okay. I got my solar paste with a melting point of 140 degrees.
Okay.
And my idea was in version 2 of a pick and place holder, we can also solder the the board on the CNC machine. This means that's the first machine in the world they can mill, dispense the drops, place the components, and solder this on your CNC machine. And this is awesome. We are the first. I know
I'm
this.
applauding
Yeah.
because that is awesome. It's never been done before. And if we could achieve it, it would be monumental.
Yeah, I think also it will a big thing, and we have only this holder on a set axis and the pick and place holder on a machine, and then you can um, build your PCBs. And the good thing is you don't need special things, a kind of Volterra. He need a special PCB. He needs special dispensing. He needs special solder paste and so on. We use only this one. How it works, we take a heat pad under the PCB in this PCB holder, and then I want to show the graph. He heat up until 170 degrees, hold this temperature. Yeah. You have the silicon heat pad, right?
Yeah, so I've got the silicon heat pad. Now, these got popular with the 3D print, and that's actually what I got it for. But I do kind of wonder, would it achieve the heating, the preheating that you're talking about? If not, I also bought a ceramic heater off of AliExpress that I think could maybe work.
Yeah, I have also this for my first test. Wait, maybe I can show this. This is a normal heat pad for a 3D printer.
Yeah, I think that, 3D printers have done a lot of great things that we're sort of borrowing from, but I also think it's the combination of software and hardware.
Yeah, I don't find this now, but the temperature is not high enough. Yes, you have only maximum 90, 100 degrees. That's not enough. But I saw at Farnell.com, maybe you know this. It's an electronics store. Heat pad, he can power this to 250 degrees, and that's our solution, I think.
Okay, now
I want to show the solar paste, right?
Well, so I went and got the low temperature solder paste as well. I'm trying to kind of keep up with what you're doing. I'm trying to mirror all of it so that as we progress, we're able to kind of validate each other's experiences. So I got the low temperature as well. I did read online, though, that this is brittle and that over time it can cause components to break off of your board. So we'll see our experience. I am worried that, or I'm not that worried about it because this is the hobbyist DIY community, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think it's you can make a MOSFET driver also. Yes, he switch 3 ampere of power with this little SMD component. That's the point. You can't build with this construct or framework thermoelectronic things. Yes, you can't make a big MOSFET driver also as prototypes, because if you have 140 degrees and the MOSFET drivers heat up to 170, then he want to solder out. Yes,
Yeah.
but I think the most prototypes are possible. Yes, Arduinos, no problem. And I think it's a good solution. We see forward.
Yeah, and what I bought too was a couple of ideas. Is that even if the base heating pad just preheats and doesn't bring it up to solder temperature, I bought an infrared lamp that's used in BGA
Yeah.
resoldering stations as a maybe it could add another 20 or 30 or 40 degrees Celsius to the heat to bring it over. Or I got a heat gun as well. Figure maybe mount the heat gun and just blow it, because now that we have ChiliPeppr and we can sort of trace the paths and move the components, that might be a way to do it. I also have an infrared heat detector. It's like those heat guns. And so if you could create a feedback loop to see what the temperature is of the surface, you could possibly just move around and solder specific regions of the board.
I know you tried this test with the laser solder, but you was not very successful, right?
No, I was not. And so that might be a reason why it just doesn't work. You might not be able to get an infrared feedback loop. So we'll see. We got to keep experimenting.
The good thing is, if you have this heat bed under this PCB and this PMP holder, we can heat up a little bit, sorry, on to 40, 50 degrees if we dispense the drops. Yes. And we're milling now, and in 5 minutes the milling is finished. Then we can heat up, before, yes, and then he dispenses the drops, puts the components on it, and then heat up to 170 degrees. Hold this for 1 minute, and we can show a very nice graph in our ChiliPeppr, and you see the process for soldering and so on. I think it looks very good. Yeah.
Are you saying that it's better to dispense the solder paste when the board is at about 50 degrees?
Yeah, because you heat also up the syringe with the solder paste. Normally, everybody say this. Yes, you have to heat up a little bit the solder paste, because then it's more dispensing. Yes,
okay,
not so a kind of powder. And if you heat up the PCB a little bit, also the professionals make this, then the drop won't to go on the PCB. Yes,
right.
he a kind of glue. Yeah,
Yeah.
and we can do this and change some parameters for perfect results.
Okay.
I think
I'm excited.
It's a very nice idea, I think.
I think it's great. And overall, I love that we're even talking about all this, because when I did the ChiliPeppr software, I was hoping people caught wind of it like yourself and figured, you know what, I'm going to take this to the next level, because my original goal was to actually make pick and place. But I figured if I'm going to do it, I've got to start with the basics of just G-code and work my way up. And it's really about almost 2 years into this being one of my weekend projects to even get to this Google Hangout on Air discussion.
But how long you need for this Eagle import widget? It's awesome work. I can't believe it. I programmed the last 20 years ago, yes? And you say you programmed this in this terrible JS fiddle, yes, in this little window. You put 10,000 lines of code in this little window and press Control Enter, I think 1 million times. It's awesome, John. I don't believe this. Unbelievable, right?
Press Control Enter 10,000 times to test it. I actually don't mind JS Fiddle's editor that much. I think that when you're working on blocks of code, you're in a narrower region, and it's not as big of a deal. Although I
only concentrate on a segment from this code, right? Also, I saw we can this code a little bit make smaller. I think 20% of this code are comments. Are mostly code that you don't want to use or so, or you comment out. Also, I saw in example today we have to speak about the rotation thing. Yes, you repeat this rotation thing, I think 10 times in your code. Yes, you say, radians, mass pi, division 180. We can capsulate this in a function and so on. Yes, but it's it's an awesome work. It's unbelievable. I don't believe this. I saw this, and then I only work in a professional editor. Yes, I only cut and paste. Then I work a half hour on this code, and then I test this in JS Fiddle. It's not so hard for me. But if you don't know what do you do, then you test this every time, every 5 seconds. I know what has happened, and I think your personal computer cries, "Don't load ChiliPeppr again! I can't, I can't display this now." It's
I'm
unbelievable.
an advocate for
How
write
long you need
one line of code and test it. One line of code, test it. One line of code, test it.
Unbelievable. How long you need for this Eagle import widget?
You know, I think that again, this is only just a kind of a weekend project for me, this whole ChiliPeppr thing. So I would say I probably had about 6 weekends where that was my main project.
Really?
And I kind of got it to where it was at, yeah. And now I would say that was the majority of it. And then after you kind of put it out there, you end up doing a lot of little bug fixes as people discover stuff. And of course, I'm still helping out Ray, who's working on the bottom of the board and flipping it. So it's a little bit, but not much.
Yeah.
You know, it comes together quickly, and then you kind of maybe move on to other stuff.
Okay, we have a other community person. It's Ray. He worked hard on this top and bottom display from this Eagle import files, right?
Yeah.
Also, he display now the components as boxes. Very nice.
Yeah, exactly. So it's exciting that 3 people now are working on the Eagle board import widget, which was just a smaller widget inside the grander ChiliPeppr, but it's the area getting all the attention right now.
Yeah, maybe I can a little bit explain. Yes, we generate a G code for this milling, right? And now I built an array, and you put on the first 10 entries the normal milling G code, the drilling, the mark of drilling. Yeah, we make this 2015. Now it's the end of the year, and you can add G code from a foreign widget. Yes, because also my code say, hey, I'm finished with generating G-code base. Maybe some other widgets has G-code to add, and then they add this on a special position in this 100 entry array. And at the end, we make only a join. Yes, and the footer from.
Are you up for showing us, or is that too hard?
Wait, I try to share my screen. I don't know. Bildschirmfreigabe. Oh, okay. Maybe.
Because you did some other amazing work with actually showing the solder paste drops, which is just so exciting to me to see a solder paste drop in the 3D viewer.
You see my screen now? Yeah, right?
Yeah, it looks great.
Okay, cool. Yes, you see here's the dispensing drops. I explained this in other video sessions. And now this system is a widget, yes? And we can go to C9 ChiliPeppr widget. We need this pens also. This is ChiliPeppr Xpix, I hope.
Just go to the main C9 and yeah, there you go. It'll show you your dashboard.
So, and I have to say, oh, maybe I can explain this from this side. Here's a widget.js, and this here outline. And now we have where is it? On calibrate. Nee, that's a calibrate widget. Too much JS fiddles and so on.
Yeah, I'm with you.
This pens was JS fiddle. As I have to use my Firefox now because my Chrome doesn't display WebGL.
Yeah, you know, I was interested. It's interesting seeing you use Firefox because I never use it. Although it's gotten so much better in the last, let's say, 6 months that it works pretty well. I was having a lot of problems with it a year ago.
Yeah, now you see solder dispenser as widget. It is displayed on the tab here. We can load this in this area. Yes, that's the same. So and now we have um, uh, on at G code. Yes, the main widget, eagle import widget, generates the base G code and cry outside, hey, I have maybe another widget have add G code, and that's all. Yes, then this will call it with publish, no, with subscribe, right? And then he called this export G code dispenser with a number, yes, and this number is 20, I think. And then you can put on a special position your G code, and this will generate the whole G code in the main Eagle dispense. But I don't know, it's 10,000 lines. In which line I implement this? Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And in just in looking at it, well, it's probably getting too detailed, but that whole this and that you see a lot in my JavaScript code, dealing with that is always interesting. It's that whole scoping issue inside JavaScript. It's probably too nerdy of a detail for this video, though.
Yeah. Okay, John, what has happened 2016 with ChiliPeppr? What do you think?
So yeah, exactly, because we're about 40 minutes into this. I think I'm working on this cam widget. You did that calibrate widget, but you really did it as a necessity to get to pick and place. I think that in 2016, we should absolutely be able to achieve a full pick and place. I think that a lot of the pieces have come together, and I think they're going to come together quicker, especially if 3 of us are working on it. Maybe more people will show up and help out too and build other pieces, and we can get ourselves an even stronger community here. So I think, like you said earlier, I think we should be able to place components, but that means we've got to do all the visual recognition of the components. We got to line them up, so we got to get all the cameras working.
I think you have also maybe to recognize the components in his pockets, right? Maybe you put some LEDs in his pockets, and he can recognize how much LEDs lying in his pocket and in which rotation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's version 2.
Exactly. But if you think about how far speech recognition has come by computers, I think visual recognition are similar algorithms, and I think that with things like OpenCV and computing power getting cheaper, I feel like we should be able to pull this off. So yeah. Let's keep going. I think that there's not other software out there quite to the level that ChiliPeppr's at, and that this whole bringing it all together is at. I have high hopes for it. So,
what are you thinking when we are finished with the version 1 with X displays as the name, right? We can make a Kickstarter or so. What do you think about it?
I think that's a great idea. I do think that at some point we're gonna have to sell the hardware for people to buy to make this easy. Now I don't. This is a weekend project for me, so I don't really want to go get so deeply involved that there's no business out of it. But I think if you do, or other people in the community do, absolutely. There's a guy, Brandon Satterfield, that does the Ox CNC, and he's got a store, SMW3D, and I've asked him a bunch, would he sell components, and he's up for it. So absolutely, I think a Kickstarter or other pieces, some kind of store of sort of standardized components, I think is definitely in the future.
Maybe it's an idea. Yes, we give this to a professional store and they make this for us. Yeah, maybe it's an idea, because I work also in the biggest German software concern. Yes, start with S, end with P.
No, that's
and,
interesting.
Yeah, right. And I have also a lot of work, but. Cool. You are CEO in a firm, right?
Yeah.
It's also, I think, a lot of time.
My day job is at a company called ZipWhip. We do text messaging software, and that is my full-time gig, and it keeps me very busy. But then when the weekend comes and I get to play
family,
with
right?
It's fun and family.
And family. You have to entertain your family, right? For the days between. Do you celebrate the Christmas Day 24, or it's not so usable in America?
Oh, what, the Christmas Eve on the 24th, and then
24 of December?
yeah, absolutely.
But
Yeah.
in the morning, you wake up and then you get the presents, right?
Yeah, on the 25th, absolutely. Wake up, get the present.
Okay. We make this on the evening of 24. No, very cool. Then
Interesting.
we have
Yeah. Well, we do some gifts on the 24th. We do the grandparent gifts for the kids on the 24th.
yeah, and you make also this big duck in the oven, right?
Yeah,
This
no, we do a tenderloin, but yes.
you have a special name for this day, right? It's Thanksgiving, right?
Oh, you mean in November, Thanksgiving? Yeah.
Ah, Thanksgiving is in November. You have a lot of party days in America. Not bad. Maybe I come and visit you.
Well, hold on, we do, but we don't take off all of August like you Europeans do.
Okay. Okay, we have the big thing, I think also it's my winter project. There's pick and place, or the name is X displays. And we implement this as widget. And I think also maybe in spring we have results. Yes, we see forward. It's a lot of to do. Yes,
A
John
lot.
knows this. Yes, he has a lot of work with this eager import thing. But I think yes, that's the next big thing. Okay, what do you think? Also, what is possible? Maybe vision. Yes, OpenCV. I think you implement this in your JSON server, right?
Yeah. I think that I like OpenCV, but the problem I'm having is that I'm trying to get as much code in JavaScript as I can, so it's cross-platform.
Mm.
Every time you end up with platform-specific code, you take a little bit of a step backwards. You end up with the community saying, well, wait, I'm on a Mac, it doesn't run on a Mac, or I'm on Windows, or hey, how do I get it to run on this new Intel Edison platform? And so the more I think we can shift stuff to JavaScript, the better, because even the fact that you can run JavaScript in a Node.js server in a pretty cross-platform way is pretty amazing these days. So, you know, I'm not sure if OpenCV is the way to go, but it probably is because there's no real JavaScript image recognition libraries out there.
You have JavaScript APIs to OpenCV, I know. Yes, also in Node.js. That's possible.
Yeah, you do. So that's not so bad.
But your idea was maybe you have this JSON server. Yes, SPJS, right?
Yep.
And then we have also this GPIO JSON server. I want to use this for my heatpad and so on.
Yep.
And I think it's also a little bit difficult to make an API for vision. Yes? How?
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of work.
I think that's not so easy. Maybe you can think in Vertex also, yes, SVG. And then you send this SVG back to ChiliPeppr and they can recognize where is a quadrat or so. No, maybe it is possible in JavaScript, but I never heard about OpenCV alternative in JavaScript. Or you do?
No, I've looked around and there's not much. There's a little bit of stuff. I will say I've gotten some stuff to work on my own where I just look for pixels within a certain color range with just pure JavaScript code, and it does work pretty well. I did a widget where I had an overhead camera over my CNC machine, and I put a green LED right next to the spindle. And the webcam tracked the green LED, and I was using it as limit switches. So it knew that the green LED couldn't go more to the left or right or up or down. So it worked pretty well. You know, so I think there's some possibilities, but it's not anywhere near the amount of work that's been put into OpenCV.
Do you want to spend the next 20 weekends, yes, in this OpenCV alternative in JavaScript? I think to make yourself, it's terrible. Yeah, maybe a man in a community now is the solution. Yes, we need OpenCV maybe in JavaScript, or maybe yes, a server, an API for OpenCV. Maybe it's possible. Yes, maybe they have a protocol for this, and we can use this.
I think actually what we might end up with is a whole bunch of Raspberry Pi Zeros, each with a camera, each with their own OpenCV instance running on the Raspberry Pi Zero. And so if you have 3 cameras for pick and place, you actually have 3 Raspberry Pi Zeros because you run into CPU issues. Already, the one webcam I'm sharing off my Raspberry Pi 2 plus SPJS is about 90% CPU utilization.
Really?
But if it's $5,
So
who cares? So I could throw 3 or
yeah,
4 or 5 Raspberry Pi Zeros at it. Why
but
not?
it's only 1 GHz CPU, right? Maybe you get a Raspberry B Plus. They have more power. Yes, maybe the Zero has only 1 GHz.
Yeah,
1 GHz,
the
it's
Zero
correct.
is fast. The Zero's the same chip as the Raspberry Pi 2, which is the fastest chip they sell.
Yeah, okay. No, maybe we can discovering some solutions for OpenCV on Raspberry Pi, but I think also it's too hard for this little chip. Yes. No, we see forward. Yes, some tests will tell some answers.
Yeah, exactly. We just got to keep experimenting, but I don't want to reinvent the wheel either. I want to keep building on the shoulders of giants here, which is what I think we've been doing so far.
Okay, this sounds very good, 2016, John. And we have a lot of plans. I'm happy to part of this community. Yes, I'm start maybe, I don't know, 4 months ago with
Yeah.
ChiliPeppr, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, good.
This was a moment in the summer I noticed I have to make something with my CNC machine in my basement. Yes, this was before I make a lot of Internet of Things, home automation, and so on. But in the summer, I think I need more work on my CNC machine, and yes, then comes a crazy idea to make a complete solution for a PCB prototype, right?
I
With
have the same
Voltaire,
crazy
I
idea
saw
that
a
I
video
could
about
go
it.
from. Yeah, I have the same idea that I could go from scratch to a full working PCB with components and its solder and everything. That's my goal. My goal is the same as yours. And could we go even further and then 3D print plastic on top of it to turn it into a whole little mini something? You know, so you kind of combine all of these things that we're getting good at, like 3D printing.
Okay, John. Then sorry, I planned only 1 hour for
Yeah,
this
yeah,
meeting.
okay. No, it's
I think we have a lot of to do, and we speak a lot. It was very nice to see you. Yes, and I hope next year we see you again. Now I make a little break, work a little bit on our widget, and because between Christmas time and New Year, it's the big concern empty. Yes, everybody takes a vacation, and it's very silent at work now. And yes, I hope you have nice days.
Yep, you as well. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you as well. And I'm sure we'll keep talking.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to your family and so on, and to the community, of course. Yes, wait
Absolutely.
for my next video session in January.
All right, excellent. All right, we'll talk
Okay,
to you
John.
later.
Bye bye. It was
Bye.
very nice.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.